And happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to the show. It is fantasy football today. We are talking about 4 playoff games this week, giving you DFS lineups, but also the top 12 wide receivers for 2024. And we'll update you on the news and notes. And boy, I guess I forgot to get Dave with a game of the week yesterday.
Oh, no.
Because he's not here today. Instead, we have this backup. We have his replacement. Dan Schneier is here. Hello, Dan.
Hello, Adam. I actually haven't been here since your abomination of a photo that you put up on Twitter of your quote-unquote favorite sandwich that you get on a cheat day, which is a bagel sandwich with sliced deli ham, what claims to be Swiss cheese, but it was yellow, and then you said it was the Russian dressing on it, and a tomato, just an out-of-place tomato. So much wrong with that, but mostly, why as a Jewish man are you eating sliced deli ham? There's so many better options out there from a taste standpoint. And just like that slimy deli ham is just nothing worse to ruin a sandwich than just throwing on deli ham.
I don't know what religion has anything to do with it, but
we don't eat pork, buddy.
We don't. Okay, you speak for yourself, because I eat pork.
No, I eat plenty of pork as well.
Exactly. No, a ham and cheese sandwich is one of the absolute.
Gross.
The only criticism I will accept is the cinnamon raisin bagel. I understand that's a little out there, but Russian dressing with ham and cheese and tomato is great. You should try it.
Sliced deli ham has to be the most overrated meat out there.
Oh, will you stop with the? Oh, you got to get the salami. You got to get the
prosciutto, bacon, Taylor ham. Just even Taylor ham. I mean, come on.
Will you join me? Will you guys join me in singing "Happy Birthday" to T. Higgins? Today is T. Higgins' birthday. Was researching Ja'Marr Chase. T. Higgins not going to be in the top 12, but it is T. Higgins.
May not be a Bengal.
May not be a Bengal. Maybe that would help him get in the top 12. It is T. Higgins. Happy birthday to T. Higgins. Before we get into the show, would you like to hear a great Dan story?
Uh-oh, I don't even know what this is.
Yes.
Okay. The year was 2024. The month, January. The week, last week. Last Wednesday, I said to him, Dan, you want to come on the show tomorrow? Meeting Thursday? He said, yeah, sure. I'll be on. He simply never showed up. Did not show up. He was supposed to be on the show last Thursday. Remember our meeting on Wednesday? I said, why don't you come on the show? We're talking top 12 quarterbacks. He just decided, nope, not showing up.
I don't know what happened. I got that text yesterday. I came on today's show. I don't know what happened last week. I would think there was some kind of confirmation text that you should be throwing out there, though. You know, I'm in the morning. I'm editing. The mornings are busier than the afternoons, and I may have slipped my mind. And I apologize for that because I love my opportunities to get on the show. But
I can't set my lineup. I got stuff to do.
I can't set my lineup. It's Thanksgiving Day. You know, I'm cooking the mac and cheese, making the guac. But
can't sign into my team in a mock draft.
What? I'm always signed into my teams in a mock draft.
What was the time of the draft, the most recent draft we did, and the time that I requested for you to accept your invitation to the league?
You requested in the morning, and I accepted shortly after. The draft was at 1. It was fine. We had plenty of time.
Well, don't worry, Dan. I forgot that you were supposed to be on the show also, or I would have sent you a confirmation. Okay. A couple hours after the show, I was like, wait, Dan was supposed to be on. Let's get to the news and notes. Dallas is keeping Mike McCarthy. That's good, right? For fantasy?
I think it's great news for CeeDee Lamb. That's the main person I think it's great news for.
All right.
Yep. I think it's good across the board.
Sorry. Kyron Williams broke his hand. Sam Laporta practiced in full. Gabe Davis missed practice on Wednesday. Buffalo is super injured. Taylor Rapp, Christian Benford, a couple of defensive backs, linebacker Terrell Bernard, they all missed practice on Wednesday. They're labeling everybody day to day, but we'll see. Houston defensive tackle Sheldon Rankins missed practice. Mark Andrews practiced in full, but that doesn't mean he's going to play. I think in both FanDuel and DraftKings, he's about $500. Certainly in FanDuel, $500 more expensive than Isaiah Likely. I would rather just, for that purpose, I'd rather Andrews just be out, and then we could start Likely. But Andrews basically said if he feels like he can help the team, he'll play. If he doesn't, then he won't. Cornerback Marlon Humphrey's still out for the Ravens. He missed practice on Wednesday. We'll see if he can get back. Zay Flowers is going to play this week. Bucks edge rusher Shaq Barrett missed practice. I would think he would play at Detroit. Green Bay, Jair Alexander missed practice. Excuse me. Rasul Douglas was limited in practice for Buffalo. I put him on Green Bay, but he's not on Green Bay anymore. And A.J. Dillon missed practice. And Aaron Jones, I mean, it's interesting. Aaron Jones, Eric Armstead coming back for the 49ers. They're a much better run defense with him. But man, look at who he has just destroyed lately. Chicago, Minnesota, Dallas. More than 20 carries, more than 110 yards or 110 and more in all of these games. It started with Carolina, whatever. But then I'd say 3 tough matchups in a row. Do you guys like Aaron Jones this week in a 4th tough matchup in a row?
Yeah, he's a great contrarian play. I think a lot of people are going to run away from him. So I hope A.J. Dillon is out too, because I think that's kind of coincided with Jones not coming off the field very much.
Yep.
And still getting goal line opportunities, converting them or not, however you want to view that. Obviously 3 touchdowns last week, but in any event, yes, I think Aaron Jones is a good play. I don't know if he's a great play, but again, if we're talking DFS, a great contrarian play because of just the matchup.
Yeah, Aaron Jones over 92.5 total receiving and rushing yards. One of my favorite props of the week that I placed earlier. I just think that even if the game script gets away from them, which I'm not sure it will, but even if it does, he's going to have an impact in the passing game to get that total. So I like him in DFS. Obviously, if I like him to get 92 and over 92.5.
I've got this really bad football feeling this weekend.
What?
Oh, here it is.
Wait, hold on. Before you say it, whatever he says, everyone do the opposite.
No, I think the Chiefs are going to win. Ugh.
Why is that a bad feeling?
Why is that a bad feeling?
Who wants the Chiefs to win? Come on. Like, I'm so over the Chiefs.
Oh, people say that. I don't know what it is. I'll never get over the Chiefs. I just love quarterback play so much, like real good quarterback play so much. I'm always just going to root for Mahomes the rest of my life.
You're a Giants fan. How could you say that?
That's why I can say that, because I need it.
I did see a tweet from Heath, and I'm probably taking it out of context, but it was a something to the effect of the Chiefs can have a soul-stealing victory.
Yeah.
Soul snatching or soul stealing?
Soul snatching, yes.
Soul snatching.
What does that mean? Explain that.
I don't like the Bills have already been eliminated twice in the last 4 years in the playoffs by the Chiefs, but that was at Arrowhead. Now they get a home game against the Chiefs. The Chiefs are not the Chiefs. Travis Kelce's not Travis Kelce this year. Like, this is the year you beat the Chiefs and get over the hump. If they don't, I don't know if they ever do.
Right. Exactly. This is their Super Bowl. I mean, at home, it's just all those injuries on defense. That's a really big deal. Oh, man. Well, congratulations, Heath. They're going to win. Hopefully you can add this to the list of bad takes.
Yeah, isn't this more likely that you just ruined his season and you jinxed them? Like, congratulations, they're going to win. If Adam thinks they're going to win, it means they're going to probably lose.
See, I'm a big proponent of the reverse jinx, but it doesn't work if you're trying to do it.
Yes,
that's clearly what Adam is trying to do. The reason he's so over
rule
the
number
Chiefs,
1 of reverse jinx, it can't be obvious.
He is tired of me smiling and enjoying life. He would like to see me suffer pain. And so that's what he's trying to reverse jinx his way to that. But
he in fairness, tried to do that to me in our Dynasty League too after week 1 when I had a very big week. And he said, oh, well, we should just all quit now because Jamie scored 200 points without Tyreek Hill. I was like, you MFer.
I actually do like the Chiefs. I do. I like the Bills. I kind of like, I have like a cousin who's a Bills fan. I know how much this would mean to them. They need this, they need this. So I want it for the Bills.
So I asked, this is the question I thought that Jamie was going, the tweet I thought Jamie was going to reference in reference to the quarterbacks and their legacy. Who needs to get the Super Bowl more this year? Like, obviously it doesn't matter to Mahomes. It doesn't really matter to Baker Mayfield in terms of like Hall of Fame eligibility. They're not.
I could push back a little on the Mahomes comment, because I think if Mahomes wins the Super Bowl, he can, in my opinion, squarely be considered the second best quarterback of all time to me.
Okay. But like Allen, Jackson, Goff, like who needs it more legacy wise? I think like Goff has a sneaky shot at the Hall of Fame if he wins the Super Bowl this year.
Oh boy.
Wow.
He's 29 years old, 29 years old with 30,000 yards passing. If he gets the first Super Bowl, he's only one away.
At some point, we have the voters have to adjust to the fact that the stats have changed so much in the modern NFL era. Like we're going to have so many of these
let me ask you
overly padded stat quarterbacks, and you'll be like, well, compare it to Aikman, and this stats look better.
Here's 2 guys that are going to be interesting discussions: Stafford and Matt Ryan. I think Stafford's in because he's got a 5,000-yard season. He's got pre 17 games. He's got a Super Bowl ring.
Right.
Matt Ryan does not, but he's an MVP. And so, those 2 guys are going to be interesting discussions. And I think you can throw Russell Wilson in there too, just based on what he's done. I would say Russell gets in, but again, those are 3, I would say, borderline Hall of Fame candidates. Certainly not first ballot Hall of Fame candidates. Maybe Stafford, depending on how many more years he plays. He's the closest to it. But I don't think Jared Goff gets in even with the Super Bowl win.
But to his point, like if Goff does win a Super Bowl, his stats are going to be padded to the point where it's like they'll be comparable to a Stafford. Is that kind of what you're saying? Like, when it's all said and done.
Yeah, hold on. Yes. Damn it. Sorry, Heath. I keep muting Heath.
I'm just muting Heath. This is like a part.
Now I was muting Dan's mic. Okay, Heath's back.
Yeah, I wasn't typing, but thank you. Yeah, I agree with most of what Jamie said. I think the problem for Ryan and Rivers without the ring is right now their argument is mostly top 10 in passing yards, top 10 in passing TDs. Like Ryan does have the MVP. The problem is if they're not getting in the next 5 years, which they're not first ballot guys, by the time that people are actually considering them, like 4 or 5 more quarterbacks will have passed them in all these numbers.
Yeah.
And so I think that will make it more difficult for them, but you start getting rings, then it gets easier.
I just hate that we're going to be comparing the numbers when the modern game is just so completely different than even what we saw in 2004.
Well, but Matt Ryan played in the modern game.
He did, but some of his years were in the 2000s, like the mid to early 2000s, and Ryan's a fair one. But like then we're going to be compared. We're going to be like, well, how can you leave this guy out when we let Aikman in? And it's like, well, the game was so different. And what Jamie said
Aikman's got 3 rings. It's a different conversation.
I know, but like players like that have made the Hall of Fame with worse stats.
But like Lamar's getting close to locking it up. You get 2 MVPs in a ring. Nobody's ever done that and not got in.
Yeah.
Right.
If Lamar gets a ring, he's in.
Yeah, this is probably biggest. To answer your first question, Heath, this is who it's probably biggest for, Lamar. Right? Like if he wins the Super Bowl, it changes.
The difference is Lamar has 2 MVPs. He could probably get in without winning a Super Bowl if he just solidifies himself as the greatest rushing quarterback of all time and won 2 MVPs. He's probably in. I was thinking it might be Allen because he hasn't won an MVP. He hasn't got a first team All-Pro. He hasn't won a ring. Like his case is basically that he so far has had a 4-year stretch of really good counting stats.
Yeah, I mean that's true.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's make some picks. I'm ready. I know we was going to save it to the end, but let's do it. All right. Let's start with Niners Packers.
Just win?
Yeah. Who's going to win?
Niners.
Yeah, Niners.
But I'm getting some vibes from the Packers.
Yeah, they do have like some Giants wild card run vibes to them, but I think the defense is just too bad and it will be exposed.
All right, Houston at Baltimore.
Baltimore, but this one has real vibes for me. More vibes than Green Bay upset over because CJ Stroud is just so phenomenal. And this will be the truest test for Stroud. Can he beat this defense? This is the best pass defense he's faced all season.
I'll go Baltimore.
Who's got a better chance of upsetting the 1 seed?
Houston.
To me, it's Houston without a doubt because of Stroud.
Yep.
I'm going to say it's Green Bay. I can't get this. I don't know how I feel about Purdy. Purdy pooing his pants on Monday night against the Ravens is really sticking in my head. Like,
the Packers defense is not the Ravens.
Not the Ravens, and it's like the total opposite with Joe Barry.
I know.
They played well last week, kind of, against Dallas, but they played with a lead. That's the difference. I don't know if they're going to play with a lead, and it's so much easier to play defense when you have that lead.
Stroud, at home.
This comment is amazing.
Stroud at home versus Stroud. I don't know it is so freaking cold on the East Coast right now. I don't know how he played at Ohio State.
Dan's actually wearing a long sleeve shirt.
That's
actually a normal short sleeve shirt, by the way.
And I think we're getting snow on Friday night in New York. So I don't know exactly what the weather will be on Saturday, but it could be pretty bad.
We have more snow coming. This is a disaster.
I'm pretty sure. It's been a bad week. Sunday's games, Tampa Bay at Detroit.
We're playing baseball tonight. I don't know about you guys.
Tampa Bay at Detroit.
Detroit, but this one feels like there could be an upset coming.
I agree. At first, when I looked at this, I wanted to get heavy on Detroit with the spread, and then I looked into a few more things, and the real thing that concerns me here is Jared Goff against the blitz. The numbers are really bad, and Todd Bowles loves to blitz and is really good at designing blitzes. Did a great job with it the other night. That's what concerns me the most. And then I look at the other side of it. Tampa Bay's defense, they beat them 20-6 earlier this season, Detroit. So like everyone's looking at that 13-point win. But Tampa Bay's defense, I looked at the games, like the box score for that, and looked at some of the injuries on Pro Football Focus. They didn't have the same players that are playing in this game. Like they're much healthier for this game. So this one scares me a little more.
All right, we're all taking Detroit though. I'm taking Detroit.
I'm still taking Detroit, and Detroit's the team I'm rooting for the most behind Mahomes that's left in the playoffs. I think their story is the best.
All right, so then here's the big one. CBS, 6:30 p.m. on Sunday, Kansas City at Buffalo. Who do you guys like?
Buffalo. This is tough.
Chiefs. I'm going Chiefs.
I'll go Chiefs.
Chiefs.
Okay. I know it's going to surprise a lot of people.
The injuries, the Buffalo injuries on defense are what scare me the most. And the fact that they just can't blow out any teams. They're leaving. You leave Mahomes around and you give him one final drive.
You might just give him 13 seconds.
That's kind of how it is.
Exactly. All right. I think Bills need to get to the quarterback. They just need to pressure him. Mahomes, I thought, looked great last week. There were some drops. The numbers weren't as good as they should have been. But they're
against 4 guys like us. I mean,
I know, but the Bills
defenders off the street.
True.
The Bills don't have a great pass rush, So I don't think they get to him enough. And as long as Juwan Taylor doesn't commit like 4 or more penalties, I think they'll be all right. But you never know with that. Listen, please vote for us. This is a fantasy football show, and we've given 0 fantasy advice in the last 16 minutes. So vote for us. SportsPodcastAwards.com. Hit vote now. Best fantasy betting and gaming category, fantasy football today. That's the name of the show. There's a QR code to scan. There are links in the episode description. And we're going to come right back and talk about our top 12 wide receivers. And then we'll give you some DFS lineups later on in the show. We'll be right back.
Another chapter in one of the NFL's most epic rivalries.
Kansas City and the Bills have had some epic matchups, to say the least. Could be another one here.
So I'm going to put a link to the story that Jamie wrote with everyone's top 12 wide receivers. However, that was done a few weeks ago.
Last week.
Well, but the rankings were done a few weeks. Well, at least you wouldn't let me change mine because I know you wrote something up. But
I changed mine, and I made sure that it made sense with your write-up, Jamie. All I did was move Bryce a little bit higher and add in Nico.
Yeah, I think you wrote about me having both Texans receivers in there, but I no longer do. But for the most part, it's going to be the same, and I'll put a link in the episode description for that as well. So if you want to follow along, please do that. Yeah, there you go. All right, first question. Do you guys have Stephon Diggs in your top 12 for next season?
No.
I do not either.
I do. Do you have Devontae Adams? There's no way, right?
No.
Nope. Okay. Those are the only questions I have. Let's go to the top 12. So, Jamie, was it the same top 5 for everybody in some order?
Let's see. Jefferson, Hill, Chase, Lamb, St. Brown. Yep. For those 2. Those 3. Those 4. Those 5.
Okay.
6.
This is like a manual way to account for this, I think. He's doing this manually.
Yep. Everybody had the same. The same top 5.
Okay. So, in some order, Jefferson, Lamb, Hill, Chase, St. Brown. Did anybody have Amon-Ra St. Brown among us 4 here? Anybody have Amon-Ra St. Brown higher than 5?
No.
Okay, so it's the same top 4 in some order, and then Amon-Ra St. Brown 5 for everybody. So
I think honestly, the only difference is who's 1.
Yes.
And Heath is the only one that has Chase ahead of Jefferson.
Am I the only one with Tyreek at 1?
No, I have Tyreek at 1 too.
I have Jefferson 1. Give me 1 through 4. I know St. Brown is 5, so Jamie, give me 1 through 4 for you.
1 through 4 for me is Tyreek 1, CD 2, Jefferson 3, Chase 4, and Amon-Ra 5. Now, if the quarterback situation seems favorable for Jefferson, meaning a healthy Kirk Cousins or a rookie that I think is going to help him elevate his game, or I shouldn't say elevate, maintain his game, I will put Jefferson back at 1.
Okay. I mean, he was great with Nick Mullins. Nick Mullins actually was insane. He threw for a ton of yards.
He threw for like 430 in a game.
He threw for 300 or more yards in the 3 games he played with
Unbelievable.
Jefferson. And it's not including the last one where he came in at halftime. But all right, so Heath, who's your top 5?
I have Lamb, Chase, Hill, Jefferson, St. Brown.
Dan?
I'm making a change to it right now because this was post Mike McCarthy.
Oh, I'll be making changes later as well. So yes, I agree.
I'm going to go Tyreek, Hill, Lamb 2 with the news of McCarthy back. I'm actually going to make the move to move Chase 3 and Jefferson down to 4 from 2 to 4. Just thinking a little bit more about it. I am concerned if Cousins doesn't come back. I personally think Cousins won't come back. There's a lot of smoke to suggest that this was going to be his last season there, and they're looking to restart stuff. And like, if you can get someone in there who can throw the football well, that's fine. But like, I didn't like any of the Jefferson without Mullins, with like Dobbs and, you know, like, and the other rookie quarterback, Jaron Hall. Like, if you don't have a good thrower of the ball or somebody who's willing to challenge those windows downfield, there's just such a limited, like, I can't put him among those other 3 guys. So I'm moving him down to 4.
I mean, it's totally fair. I have Jefferson 1. I guess I'm a little more confident in the quarterback situation because I think there was smoke about this being his last year, but that was before he tore his Achilles. I think his market is not going to be the same that it was.
The question is, what does he want? Because I pretty much was sold when Jefferson showed up the first or second week afterwards wearing the Kirk Cousins t-shirt and the chains that the Vikings are going to try to bring Kirk Cousins back.
It's a sign and keep and draft and prepare, and so it's keep Cousins as the bridge quarterback and, let him play out the season, probably depending on which rookie you end up getting. I mean, look, they may have to, and I say the settling, but not necessarily as an insult, but settling for Penix, and that could be their guy. If they decide to go that route, they could get Jaden Daniels, depending on how things go. They could trade up and be aggressive and get in the Drake May conversation, or maybe even the Caleb Williams conversation, depending on. I don't think Chicago trades in the division to make that move, but you never know. In any event, if it's a day 1 quarterback plus Kirk Cousins, then I think that's pretty good for Jefferson, not just but also his dynasty value. If it's a day 2 quarterback and that's the route they go, or day 3 quarterback, and it's another Nick Mullins, or let's say Gardner Minshew, they decided to go that route, then I think Jefferson's certainly fine, but he's not going to be 1 for me.
Okay. Why Chase? You said Heath had Chase over Jefferson, and now Dan does too. I was curious, Heath, what you think about Jamar Chase and just, quite frankly, his very underwhelming yards per catch and yards per target the last 2 seasons. It's been a lot. It's been worse, clearly worse than the other 3 guys in this conversation, Jefferson, Lamb, and Tyreek Hill. He simply has not performed as well as those guys.
Well, he did not play very many games at all this season with a good quarterback. Joe Burrow was just like, he was hurt. He's got an excuse. I'm not putting Joe Burrow down, but Joe Burrow was not. Jake Browning had better efficiency numbers than Joe Burrow did throwing the ball this year. And so I think that's part of the excuse. I think part of the excuse is that Cincinnati's not done as good of job as the other teams of figuring out what to do with this shell coverage. Like we saw year 1, it was just bombs away to Chase, and teams took that away. And Cincinnati's answer wasn't as efficient as maybe the Bills or the Chiefs' answer has been.
I think the best case for Chase, because statistically he didn't really
look at the numbers he's had without T. Higgins in the lineup. That's what I was really focusing on, and they're really good. And if you're going to make that projection, at least for me, that Higgins won't be there.
I'm not ready to make that projection. I mean, I think that is a big deal. I also think when it comes to Tyreek Hill, how big of a deal is Jalen Waddle? Because Waddle had a bad year. Hill wasn't as good. He was great in 2022, but he wasn't quite as good because Waddle, he went from like 10 touchdowns to 4. The number 1 receiver, I say this all the time, the number 1 receiver basically never has another top 12 receiver on his team. And, Tyreek Hill didn't this year. But CeeDee Lamb won't.
I don't think I don't think Chase will either. What? Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
it might be like top 15, and Higgins is usually there, but yeah.
To your point, though, your first point, Adam, which I think is definitely interesting about Chase's 2023 season, I don't really look as much at yards per target in the stats you referenced, but yards per route run to me is the stat of all stats when it comes to wide receivers. If you look at year over year, prognostication, that stat has been the stickiest by far. And even if you look at it right now, here are the yards per route run leaders from 2023. Tyreek Hill way above anyone at 3.72. Then Nico Collins, Brandon Ayuk, Justin Jefferson, Puka Nacua, Amon-Ra St. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Waddle, A.J. Brown, Rashee Rice, Keenan Allen, Deebo Samuel. All 12 of those players in the top 12, most of them are mentioned in our top 12 rankings. I think Keenan Allen may be the only one who's out of it. Some people might not have Deebo. Some people might not have Rashee Rice. Some people maybe might not have Waddle. I haven't looked at all the rankings, but everyone else is in the mix there. And then you have to go all the way down to 25 to see where Jamar Chase is as the 25th highest ranked receiver in yards per route run. So it obviously wasn't like an ideal season for him. I just think for the possibility of those stats and those numbers being weighed down by not having Burrow, and then the upside to me of if Higgins does leave, and they don't really have the cap space to, I don't know what they'll do with Higgins. I guess maybe they can tag him and free some stuff up by restructuring Burrow's contract.
Let's fight again. Let's fight again. Come on, let's go.
No, I think they could franchise tag him.
They could, and then they could restructure the Burrow contract and a few others. But that's playing with fire when you start to push those cap hits back.
It's most cap space in the other. They actually do have a luxury. They have like $60 million in cap space.
They've got to get a lot better in a lot of other places too, though.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like they have.
Let's move on. All right, so we know our top 4. We know Amon-Ra St. Brown is 5. I'm just real quick question on Amon-Ra St. Brown. Do you think he can? At this time last year, I don't really think we thought CeeDee Lamb could be the number 1 wide receiver. He just had never showed that. Do you think Amon-Ra St. Brown could be the number 1 wide receiver?
Yeah.
No, but he certainly can be close. I just don't think he has the same touchdown upside as some of these other guys.
I was going to say he would have to luck into a lot of touchdown regression luck, but I don't know if it's as possible as these other guys. So I'd say no.
Let's go to 6 through 8. Again, it's some order of Lamb, Hill, Jefferson, Chase, St. Brown, 1 through 5. Heath, give me 6 through 8 in your rankings.
This is where the changes might start happening. I will tell you where I had it, and then I will listen to what Dan and Jamie say, and then make changes. But I had it originally AJ Brown, Puka Nacua, and Keenan Allen.
Brown, Nacua, Allen. Okay, Dan, how about you?
This is where I have my most bullish player in the rankings. I have it at AJ Brown, Puka Nacua, but then I have Rashee Rice all the way up at 8.
Okay, so you both have AJ Brown and Puka Nacua, Keenan Allen, and then the younger version of Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen for Heath, and the younger version of Keenan Allen, Rashee Rice for Dan. Jamie, how about you?
This is what I have it now, but I would move Puka up. But right now it's AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson, and Chris Olave.
AJ Brown, Garrett. Okay, so everybody has AJ Brown. 2 of you had Puka Nacua. Jamie says he would put Nacua there.
Yeah, Puka will now be 7 for me.
Okay, I have Puka 9. I'll move him up to 8. So my 6 through 8 would be AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson, and Puka Nacua. So that means AJ Brown and Nacua are in there. That means Garrett Wilson for me and Jamie, right?
Yep.
Rashee Rice, Keenan Allen. All right, so talk about.
Do you want Days at all? Just for.
Honestly, no. I just think it's too many names.
Okay, I mean it's on the site.
Yeah.
Dave, just know I stuck up for you. Adam said no.
His updated list too, but I can't. Like I'm getting confused. Keenan Allen, Heath, older, but like a fine wine. So I hear, getting better with age.
Yeah, he was wide receiver 3 last year on a per game basis. I think like what happens with the offensive coordinator situation there and the general flow of the offense, who they add and could change things. He's certainly got age risk, but he did not show any signs of slowing down last year at all.
No, he did not. And
might have been his best game per or best year per game.
Definitely.
I think you're right.
Jamie, I think we showed a lot of faith in Garrett Wilson. Certainly didn't justify it based on his 2023 performance. But, why did you have Garrett Wilson in your top 8?
Well, I mean, it is, again, this is what we talked about on the running back show, that you're projecting out of what you hope is going to happen. And the hope would be is that Aaron Rodgers comes in and turns Garrett Wilson into the star that he's capable of becoming. And so we've certainly seen flashes of it. We saw flashes in his rookie season. We saw flashes of it at times this past season. He should continue to be a target hog. Now, again, if you're talking about, okay, T. Higgins is leaving and, who knows what the offense coordinator is for the Chargers and what's going to happen. Well, Aaron Rodgers has said he would like to play with Davante Adams again. And so if the Raiders are willing to move on and the Jets have the ability to make that deal, then there's no way Garrett Wilson is being considered this high, even if you like him better than Davante Adams, which I would. But in any event, as of now, as the number 1 receiver for the Jets, with hopefully a healthy Aaron Rodgers, even at 40 years old coming back, even with a banged up offensive line, I think just the quality of targets, the opportunities that he'll be able to, get and the way he'll be able to perform, puts him in the discussion to maybe be a top 5 type of guy. So I think a borderline first round pick for Garrett Wilson, and certainly can make the case that he's a top 10 guy wherever you want to put him.
I think the main risk for Garrett Wilson is, one, Rodgers is just, I mean, he was already old and he's rusty and he's just not as good. And the second one is that Devontae Adams is on the Jets.
Sure.
Well, the third one, is that offensive line just doesn't do anything to improve. Like, everybody's like, oh, it's the offseason, we'll improve our O-line. And it's like, I've seen that story play out with the Giants a lot of times. It's very hard to find offensive linemen in the NFL. Even if you draft them high, it's no guarantee. And they need 4 positions on their offensive line. Then that could be more if Elijah Vera Tucker isn't healthy. So that's what scares me the most about that. To me, Garrett Wilson is the highest upside of the players I have ranked in my top 10, but I don't have him ranked that high as well. But I don't rank that high.
I think the thing you look at is hopefully Vera Tucker is healthy. They draft a guy, and based on how Rodgers was talking, if there is a likely reunion, it's Bakhtiari.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that.
I don't know if that's good
for the Jets.
I mean, how many games
he hasn't played well in a while, but
I don't know if that's great, but it certainly is something I think that would help that team tremendously.
I mean, they're not going to re-sign Becton, so they need something.
Yeah, and I think also, the notion is this isn't an Aaron Rodgers is good conversation. This is Aaron Rodgers helping Garrett Wilson because so this isn't, hey, oh my God, Aaron Rodgers is saving the day for the Jets. This is Aaron Rodgers is saving the day for Garrett Wilson.
And he has a history of exactly what you just said, leaning on that one receiver.
Oh yeah, big time. Okay. Let's go to 9 through 12. Our last 4 here.
Well, let me make a case for Rashee. Can I make my Rashee Rice case?
Yeah, sure.
Because I love Rashee Rice going into next year. And I wasn't as high on him until doing some research this morning and coming across some things that are just kind of crazy. And I'll credit the stat man, Jacob Gibbs, I call him. It's the stat man. Yeah. You like that one, Adam? That one was for you.
The stat man?
No, this is a play on the Tax Man by the Beatles.
Tax Man? Oh, well,
Stat Man. Yeah. It's Jacob Gibbs, the stat man. But
stat man. Okay. All right.
Yeah. All right. So this was a great stat that he pulled recently. And among 74 wide receivers with 350 plus routes run in 2023, there are only 2 receivers to average 7+ yards after the catch per reception. And that was Deebo Samuel at 8.8 and Rashee Rice at 8.3. Rashee Rice yards after the catch ability resulted in a top 10 yards per route run rate, which I just discussed earlier is very sticky over year. But over the past 10 seasons, Rice is the only wide receiver to finish with a top 10 yards per route run rate with an average depth of target below 6 yards. What does that tell me? It tells me that despite the fact that he still probably has a ways to go in learning that Andy Reid offense, he's already become a fantasy contributor just because he's so good after the catch. And I think from what I saw, and I remember the one we did a little bit earlier this year, Adam, I think maybe like the third to last Beyond the Box score when we broke down Rashee Rice. I'm forgetting now who they played that game. There was a double move with Mahomes that he hit him on a back shoulder after a double move. And I was just like, if that starts to build, if that rapport starts to get even better and Mahomes can trust him in the vertical plane and in the intermediate, like what do we have here? We could, in my opinion, have a top 5 potential receiver.
I do think, though, again, we're talking about T. Higgins off the Bengals and some of these other potential moves. This is the guy that scares me the most about adding somebody, because if Kelsey comes back and they add somebody of significance in any capacity, I think other than a rookie, so it could be an aging guy like Mike Evans. It could be
Hopkins,
a guy still in his prime like T. Higgins or a Michael Pittman. It could be even a second tier guy, which I think would still be okay, but like a Marquise Brown, so depending on what route they go is going to really swing how you feel about Rice and his upside. If they stay in the current form of what this pass catching group looks like, and maybe it's a rookie tight end that they go out and get, just with the idea of, eventually Kelsey's heir, then you should be great, with Rice here. But like, this is the one that, and Heath, I'm curious, we could have talked about this on your show, and maybe you will. Is he a sell right now?
I mean, he may become one this week. All those banged up Buffalo corners. He goes out and has a 150-yard game, his second straight monster playoff game. I think I've got him right around wide receiver 20 in Dynasty. I was a little bit low on him coming into the league, but I think there are people who will start to view him as a top 12 Dynasty wide receiver. And in that case, he's absolutely a sell for me.
Let me tell you something. We say it every year. He had 938 yards in 16 games. rookie receivers who reach 900 yards, they are almost always good players. They have good careers. It's just, it's like an 80% hit rate.
But a top 20 dynasty wide receiver is a very good player. Like there's a lot of wide receivers in the league that in the last 5 years have had 900 yards in 16 games.
What's that? There's a
lot of wide receivers who have done that. And the wide receiver classes the last 5 years have been insane.
The rookies, you mean? But not like only 2 did it last year. I think it was only Wilson and Olave, I believe.
I think part of it was also like what Heath said a little bit earlier. Like, I feel like I was just a little bit too low on my evaluation of Rice coming out of school, just based on the tape I saw, because once I saw it at the NFL level, and I'm sure you guys can agree with this, there's a lot of explosiveness to his game post catch. And I think I saw that in his college tape, but I guess there were other areas of his game I didn't love. And you look at it and like the numbers back it up. He had the second best vertical leap of any receiver in the combine last year. He was 4th best in yards per route run at the collegiate level, which we just said is a sticky stat. 5th best 10-yard split. That shows the quickness and the burst off the line of scrimmage. He's a much better athlete, I think, than I realized coming into the NFL. And now that I see it with my own eyes at the NFL level on tape, I just am willing to be very bullish on him.
All right.
He's also tied to the best passer in the league.
Yeah, that helps too. I'm big on that.
All right, let's go to 9 through 12 in our wide receiver rankings for 2024. Jamie, go ahead.
I'm sorry?
9 through 12.
9 through 12 for me is right now it's Puka. But Puka, DJ Moore, Pittman, and Rice.
Okay. So
so that would be Olave would be in this range for me.
Olave. All right. Olave, DJ Moore, Pittman, Rice. Heath?
I had DJ Moore, Tank Dell, Garrett Wilson, Deebo Samuel.
And I had Deebo Samuel 9, Garrett Wilson 10, Ayuk 11, and then Nico Collins 12.
Okay. So for Jamie, it was Olave, DJ Moore, Pittman, Rice. For Heath, it was Moore, Tank Dell, Garrett Wilson, Deebo Samuel. For Dan, it was Deebo, Garrett Wilson, Brandon Ayuk, so both 49ers guys, and Nico Collins. For me, I don't remember what it was originally, but I forgot DJ Moore, so I had to put him in there. So for me now, it's this will be a little controversial. Stephon Diggs, Chris Olave, DJ Moore, Nico Collins. I took Tank Dell out. I now have Collins ahead of Dell. I wanted to do that originally, and I'm going back to what my gut was. So we can talk about that. But nobody has Stephon Diggs. Did anybody other than me have Stephon Diggs in the top 12?
No, I believe you're the only one.
So I would just point out that if you just go to his Pro Football Reference page or any page that has his stats, his 2023 season for Stephon Diggs looks a lot like 2021. And
Chris Towers did also.
Okay, he had a terrible finish. And then go look at his playoff games in 2021. That was when Gabe Davis had that crazy 200-yard, 4-touchdown game, whatever. 2 games where Josh Allen, I believe, had 2 huge games, and Diggs was awful. And he came back in 2022, and he was like the number 5 wide receiver. So I understand that he's getting up there in age, but we still have Tyreek Hill in, as number 1 or number 2. We have, he has Keenan Allen in his top 12. I don't think Diggs lost it midseason. I think he struggled because Josh Allen struggled. And I've seen that in his career with the Bills. When Josh Allen's been like a 4,500-yard pace passer, Diggs has been great. When he's been like a 4,000-yard passer on pace for, he struggled. Now, what worries me is the Joe Brady thing, because they threw less with Joe Brady. So I'm getting more concerned every time Stephon Diggs goes out there and has a bad game. Last week, he wasn't bad, but Allen threw for like 200 yards. What do you have, like 70 yards?
No, I think he had like 57 on 7 catches or something.
Yeah, right.
The target ADOT has been so bad lately. He's not the downfield.
He hasn't been overlooked or ignored. And that's, I think, the thing that's concerning is the targets have still been there and the target share has still been there. And you're talking about a guy getting into his early 30s.
Right.
And, so what have we seen? We can break this down any which way. Keenan Allen was a monster, but he got hurt at the end of the season. So, do you call it a winning season for him?
Yes.
Or
yes,
He's not there for your playoff run. Is that really a winning season?
It's the only one. Justin Jefferson missed 6 games, 7
I'm just posing the question.
No, for the playoffs.
But here are the 30-year-old receivers that we talked about prior to the season. So if I forget somebody, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
DeAndre Hopkins, would you say it was a good season?
No,
terrible.
Adams,
Mike Evans was a great season.
Mm-hmm.
Devontae Adams, bad season, right? Based on the expectations.
Yes.
And Adam Thielen, and you would say probably up and down. So.
Yeah, I mean, Thielen was surprisingly. I think he was a win.
I would say he exceeded expectations.
Yeah.
So now you're looking at the next crop of guys, or these guys still in the same category. And to say top 12, I think the expectations are you're looking for probably 17 plus PPR points per game. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Top 12, yeah.
I don't think he does that.
I get it. And honestly, I think Devontae Adams could do it too. I thought Adams looked really good. I just thought he had terrible quarterback play. Remember the line?
How is that going to change?
Well, it could change, but
I guess.
Gardner Minshew to the Raiders. It's my off-season bold prediction. No, I just, for the most part, and this is wrong occasionally, but for the most part, I don't predict bounce back years for guys over 30.
Yeah,
that's fair. All right, so let's talk about some of the other guys. Well, how about this? Let's finish with this. Who would you rather bet on to be a top 12 receiver? The Texans receivers or the Niners receivers?
The Texans receivers.
They're right near for me.
Yeah,
I would bet on the Niners.
They're all top 20 for sure.
Yeah.
And probably top 15.
Yeah.
I think the most interesting thing for me about this exercise, Adam, was just, and everybody, was just how that range of like 8 or maybe 9 through like 17, 18, 19. There's a lot of interesting players in that I think could all be either 9 or 18 within those rankings. Even somebody like Olave and Moore, who missed my ranking slightly, but if I put them in, I take out an Ayuk or I take out a Nico Collins, guys I really like for next year and who are projected, to be better players. So it's going to be interesting. There's going to be a lot of depth. I think it's going to be a year where I'm going to be heavy pounding wide receiver rounds 3 through 6.
Well, I think
earlier than that.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
As evidence of that.
Even early, maybe 2 through whatever it may be, 1 through 6.
Go ahead, Heath.
Yeah, I think there was 2 fantasy points per game that separated 8 from 18 this year.
Yeah.
Well, that's one monster game basically.
Right.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I just want to say for Olave, I was just thinking about this morning. He reminds me a little bit of Terry McLaurin right now. Like I could see
profile wise, or just as a player, like as a player, or his situation.
Or just like he's really good. We all know he's really good. Is he ever going to have the quarterback that's going to make him elite? He doesn't get red zone targets,
right?
And he doesn't score touchdowns. So he's got.
Who should we put in that category? Because it was Diggs. Remember, I said Diggs is going to be one of those guys. If he finishes his career in Minnesota, we're always going to say great player, but never produced like he's capable of.
DJ
Moore, and Moore gets a quarterback. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, look, McLaurin, I think is going to get his quarterback because I think what Washington does in the draft is going to significantly impact him in a positive way. Yeah, maybe that Olave could be that guy. I hope not.
I hope not too. All right, let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll give you some DFS tips for the big weekend with the Chiefs clearly going to beat the Bills. We will be right back on Fantasy Football Today. Okay, we're back. And putting on a show during the break. Nobody's paying attention. Okay, DFS. Who do we love this week? Who do we love? Must plays in DFS.
Anyone? I can't see you during the break.
I know. No, we don't see you. We see the commercial.
You can't see the little boxes below you, Heath?
No.
No. I guess I could. Yes, I could see the little boxes below, but if my window is a little bigger.
No, okay. I didn't realize that Dan and Jamie couldn't see me. Okay, Heath could see me. All right, so I'm just blaming Heath then. It's fine.
Listen, you want to dance for Heath? Do it on your own time.
All right, so who do we love in DFS this week?
I built one lineup so far. It's a little mini Packer stack with Jordan Love, Aaron Jones, and Luke Musgrave. Just based on their pricing and I think what they'll be able to do. Hopefully the weather will be okay in San Francisco. I think they're expecting some rain, but in any event, I just like the way he's playing, and it's tough to pick the wide receiver to stack him with because he's been so good at just finding open guys. And so I didn't expect Romeo Dobbs to play the way he did last week. He was amazing. Who thought Jaden Reed would get only 3 targets and no catches? And Reed's numbers, I know Christian Watson did not do anything significant last week, only 1 catch. But Reed's numbers were certainly down when Watson was healthy. Now you could say, okay, that was when Reed emerged, and looking ahead to next year. But I'm just trying to avoid it. Now you could say pick the right one, and if you guess the right one, you're going to probably be okay if that's the guy that Love leans on. But I'll take my chances with Musgrave. There's a lot of interesting cheap tight ends this week that you can go to. You mentioned the Ravens guys. If Likely is even if Andrews plays, Likely could still be significantly involved. I think Cade Otton's in a good spot right now. Matchup's good against Detroit. Laporta's relatively cheap by comparison to where he's been throughout the course of the season, and then Musgrave. So I just went with Jones, Musgrave, and Aaron Jones, and then countered that with McCaffrey and Ayuk.
Okay, yeah, I think we should talk about getting McCaffrey in your lineup, and it was tough. I tried to do it in.
Well, do you want mine? Because I have McCaffrey in it.
Yeah. Well, sure.
So it's Love and McCaffrey. I'm sorry, Love at quarterback, McCaffrey and Aaron Jones at running back. So I did spend money there. I went Mike Evans at receiver. I'm sorry, no, not Mike Evans. I went Brandon Ayuk, Khalil Shakir, and Chris Godwin. Let me make sure I have it right. Chris Godwin, Musgrave, Jamison Williams at flex. And I to me, I don't care about defense this week. There's just too many good offenses. And I went with the Packers, just the cheapest one.
Okay. So Dan, who do you love this week?
I look at this 4-game slate and I say the one I'm most confident by far in offense happening consistently in these games is San Francisco and Green Bay. Now, the weather thing is interesting, but I think overall that will pass, and rain is not the biggest factor for me. Wind is, and I like the weather there. And there's only 2 games with good weather this weekend. So that one, I look at it, and George Kittle's somebody I have to get in my lineup. I look at the struggles the Packers have had against tight ends. The way that Joe Barry system is set up, it is not, I don't see any chance that they're going to do any kind of adjustment to take away Kittle. So to me, Kittle is my favorite play on this. I have Kittle stacked with Purdy and with Ayuk. And then I have a flip side who I talked about earlier, Aaron Jones. Love him as the flip side play. If you want to stack one team, you always want to have that one player on the backside. And Aaron Jones, that player for me. So that's my core 4 this weekend. And those are the players I love. But if I'm going outside of that game, Pacheco is my favorite just overall value play of the slate. I just think that with the Bills defense and the state they're in, it's going to be a really good matchup for Pacheco this weekend.
Yeah, I am a little bit different, I guess. The game that I'm stacking is Lions-Tampa, the indoor game. Detroit games in that building, usually both teams score pretty well. So I've got a Baker, Evans, Rashad White stack with Laporta and Jamison Williams on the bring back. You can still get Christian McCaffrey in that lineup. The chief I want is Rashee Rice. I don't think the Bills secondary is going to be able to tackle him. And then I've got the Packers defense because they're the cheapest. And on FanDuel, Dalvin Cook's just 4,500 and has been signed to the active roster. I don't ever know which Ravens running back's going to score a touchdown. Hopefully it's Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and Gus Edwards is pretty discounted as well. I mean, he's probably the most likely. He's actually on FanDuel, he's pretty expensive. He's more expensive than James Cook and Rashad White, so I can't get behind that. I'll check. That's Gus Edwards I'm talking about. I'll check on DraftKings.
And I mean, Emmanuel Wilson might have 5 to 10 touches in this game. He's another cheap running back who, if you want to put somebody in the flex.
I think, we should probably talk about bargain basement guys. I see you guys have Jamison Williams. He's cheap. Khalil Shakir. Jamie has Luke Musgrave. My cheapest guy was like Christian Watson, actually, and Isaiah Likely. I have Isaiah Likely in there, but what I did on FanDuel is I left $500 extra, so I'll put Andrews in if he plays. But I hope it's Likely, and who I think would be a very good play. But actually, before I even get into that, just got to say, like looking at Kevin Roth on Roto Grinders, Houston at Baltimore, Kansas City at Buffalo, cold, really cold. That doesn't mean they can't have high scoring games, but in the upper 20s or the lower 20s, 10 to 15 mile per hour winds. So Tampa Bay at Detroit is definitely, it's a dome. I don't know if you saw somebody ask Todd Bowles about relating to the weather. That was rough.
Oh, that was crazy.
Green Bay at San Francisco, we mentioned, should be good weather, but there could be some rain. But if you want to just play it safe with the weather, Tampa Bay at Detroit, and both those teams really struggle defending the pass, as we know. But yeah, any other Dalvin Cook we heard, real cheap guys, Heath, that you could throw in your lineup to help you get McCaffrey in there?
Well, I mean, on FanDuel, Dameon Pierce is the same price as Dalvin Cook. So, like, if same type of bet, you're just hoping he's the running back who gets the touchdown.
One of my favorite cheap plays is Trey Palmer.
I like that one. Mm-hmm. I like that Dontavian Wicks is a cheap play. I know that the playing time might be an issue, but I just think he's a great talent.
I think Wicks more than Watson, actually. I think
he's pricier than Watson. Okay,
could get a red zone carry for Latavius Murray.
No, they're the same. Watson's $100 more than Wicks, but I went with Watson. Yeah, Latavius Murray, you're absolutely right. You could get that from him. Players to avoid, like I can't try. It's Josh Allen, most expensive quarterback against the Chiefs. I just don't think it makes sense.
I'm avoiding Goff, and I'm avoiding Laporta, and I'm avoiding Montgomery. I don't love that matchup at all against Todd Bowles.
Really?
I know. Well, that's a dome, and we assume points. But what?
You said the blitz thing. That's interesting, but it's
Tampa Bay's gotten killed by tight ends, haven't they?
They haven't done well against tight ends. I'm just not projecting much offense from. It's weird when I think about this matchup. I from a matchup standpoint, it sounds like it feels like I'm on Tampa Bay, but I still somehow think the Lions are going to win this game. So I don't really know how it's going to go down. But
the Lions do have the second highest implied total on the slate.
Yeah,
on the Ravens or the Niners.
Nervous about that offense against Tampa.
Niners. Yeah, Ravens over under is 5 points lower. So,
I should have said this, but Baker Mayfield's, I'm guessing, going to be the most. What do you think?
Rostered, yes,
100%.
I completely think that's the case.
I think that's the game that's going to be the most rostered players. So, and it makes a lot of sense. The running back's probably a little bit tougher just because those run defenses are really good. But Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to be hugely popular. I think both Bucs receivers are going to be popular. It's just a matter of what you do around them.
Yeah, that's my line. I mean, I have Baker, Godwin, Evans. Would you say you had Heath? You had Baker, Evans, Rashad White.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So, are there any players I definitely don't want Allen or Diggs? Any players that you guys don't want?
I'm not planning on playing Mahomes or Stroud either.
Yeah, Montgomery's out for me, but
Stroud is tough for me too.
Stroud is the cheapest quarterback on FanDuel, and I want to say second cheapest on DraftKings. So that's the only thing that makes it pretty interesting. Boy, would that be
Kelsey?
Why not?
The last 3 months.
He really doesn't look great out there. It's kind of wild.
Okay. What did he had a couple of drops, but he had 7 for 71 with some drops on 10 targets last week. Boy, he hasn't scored in 7 straight games. Come on, now's the time.
I think there's a lot of unreported stuff about what happened in that Minnesota game with the re-aggravation of that knee, and he just played the next week, and he just, to me, doesn't look explosive at all out there. This is the least explosive I've ever seen him in his career by a wide margin, just eye test wise.
Heath, do you want him back next year?
Yeah, of course.
Healthy. Yeah.
I want him back, understanding his diminished role. I don't know if that's reasonable.
But does he have a diminished role, or does he have just
who's behind him?
No, I don't mean as tight end. I just mean Rashee Rice is the number 1 target, and be okay with that.
Gotcha.
Look, if he has a diminished role, then I think we are never ever getting back together. Like ever. Do you think she's going to be at the game? I think it's too cold. I mean,
it's going to be 20 degrees warmer than it was
much
last
colder.
week.
They even have luxury suites in Buffalo. It's like the 100-year-old stadium. I feel like it's not going to be as comfortable.
She'll be there.
Okay. All right, let's do some lineups. Jamie gave his. I have a DraftKings lineup. I don't know if anybody's given a DraftKings.
I gave my lineup too already. So.
Oh, that's right.
It's like when you were dancing, nobody was paying attention, I guess.
No one could see it.
I have Justice Hill to get McCaffrey in. So not quite clear what the running back roles are yet without Keaton Mitchell. That was pretty late in the season. And then nobody played in week 18.
Actually, they did play in week 18.
So Justice Hill played a little bit in week 18. Yeah. But I think there could be some catches there for him. So I have Baker Mayfield, Justice Hill, Christian McCaffrey, Chris Godwin, Rashee Rice, Christian Watson. George Kittle and Mark Andrews, and the Chiefs DST. That's my DraftKings lineup. That's a 50-50 lineup.
I thought you said you had Isaiah Likely.
In my fantasy lineup, I have Likely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I do not. That's another guy I put on my not playlist, Mark Andrews.
You just don't trust it?
Yeah, I mean, just listen to what he said himself. I'm gonna, if I can get out there to help my team in any way, I'll do it. That means decoy.
Maybe. Buzzkill. All right. Give me a lineup, Dan.
Oh, I'll be honest. No one told me before the show that I had to make a lineup, Adam. You didn't tell me that.
You don't have to.
No, I wish I had been told that, and I would have. But
I was busy. I had stuff to do. What are you talking about?
No, I would have made a lineup. I'm toying with it, but it will be Brock Purdy, George Kittle, and Ayuk as the core. With on the flip side of that, Aaron Jones. So those 4 for sure, and then whatever I can fit after that.
You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna make the Dan Schneier lineup right now.
All right, let's do it.
All right,
put those 4 in.
Let's get it. Hold on, I gotta get a 50-50 here. We're gonna go $5.
Ooh.
You owe me, by the way.
Yeah, I'll pay.
And all right, so he likes the Niners. Let's see. Okay, who do you like? Who's your quarterback? Purdy?
Get me in Purdy.
All right.
Kittle.
Brock Purdy?
Yeah.
Okay, there he is. George Kittle.
Mm-hmm.
Who else?
Ayuk.
Okay.
Aaron Jones.
You're going to run out of money pretty soon. All right, Aaron Jones.
Now, what do I have left to work with here?
6,100. Let's get a defense.
Oh, defense. I'll roll. This is an interesting one. Defense, no points. Let me see. I don't really I don't want. Give me the price range on these defenses.
All right, so you got the Niners are 4,500.
This is fantastic. Like segment of the year.
3,200.
At the sake of making this segment a little better, let's go with Bucks defense. I'm sure they're cheap.
3,500. That's a great choice. Bucks defense, 3,500. Okay. Now we need another running back. You have 6,700.
Can I fit Pacheco?
Let's get Pacheco in there.
Because I love Pacheco this week.
7,500. All right. So now we need a wide receiver, 2 wide receivers in a flex, 6,500 each. You could do this. This is fine.
I'll let you pick these ones for me because it's not in front of me.
They can literally not think of a wide receiver right now. You got to have Rashee Rice. You got him as a top 12 wide receiver next year.
I know, but can I fit Rashee Rice in this too?
Yes.
We're going to need like one dirt.
Okay, give me Rashee Rice and then fit in a dirt cheap Dontavian Wicks.
Or Palmer.
Are there any former Giants? Richie James is playing.
Richie James would be better than half of the Chiefs wide receivers right now if he actually got playing time.
Bateman or Luke Musgrave?
Bateman.
Okay. And that gives us
we got Rice, Bateman.
For a wide receiver, Jaden Reed. Basically any
Can I get Rice in there? Rashid? Was he in there yet?
He's already on your team.
Okay.
Jaden Reed?
No, can I get a Bucks receiver in there? Is there any way to get a Bucks receiver that's doing
We're gonna have to go a little cheaper here.
Okay, throw in the Palmer play.
Let's see who we can get.
I like Jamie's long shot Palmer play.
Also, Dan, Richie James played 83% of the offensive snaps last week. It was just like Adams dancing. Nobody noticed because Mahomes never
they didn't notice, and I know he didn't have a great game, but if he had gotten his chance early, like I can't sit here and believe that Richie James, who had like almost 1,000 yards with Daniel Jones, wouldn't be better than Marquise Valdez-Scantling and Justin Watson, who every time I watch them play, they're horrible.
All right, I gave you Latavius Murray.
I don't know.
Trey Palmer was too expensive.
I think the contrarian lineup is now Mahomes, MVS, and Justin Watson for the win.
Yeah, you guys want to fire those guys up? Enjoy. Watch Marquise Valdez-Scantling run sprints around the field all game.
I saw somebody, I don't know who tweeted it, but it was hysterical. So I apologize for not giving credit to it. But the last thing you'll see before you die because it was so cold was Marquise Valdez-Scantling dropping a ball.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I saw that too.
When are they getting out of that contract, Heath? That can't be going on past this year, right? There's
I think this is the end of it. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a great contract.
Wild
contract. Already won one Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He clearly helped.
Yeah, it was a big help.
You don't know that, but to the left of Heath is his Chiefs closet where he has the Kadarius Toney jersey and his MVS jersey.
Yeah. Right. Yep.
Is Kadarius Toney playing this week? Is he still on the run? What is he doing? What's his?
He's got. Believe it or not, he's got an ankle injury, and he's trying to get back. We got Sky Moore back at practice. I have, I believe, 4 Chiefs jerseys in my Chiefs closet. Jamie didn't get any of them correct.
I didn't think so.
Mahomes.
Mahomes,
Correct.
Kelsey.
Yep.
Kelsey.
Taylor Swift.
No Taylor Swift.
Is it new players that are still on the roster? Or
You're so close, Jamie. You got the first name right, last name wrong.
who did he say?
He said Derek Thomas.
Oh, what other Derek?
First name right and last name wrong.
No.
Derek Johnson.
Derek.
Oh, the running back? Is that
Derek Nottie?
Linebacker out of Texas. He was a first round
I don't even
pick.
remember Derek Johnson.
And one more.
I don't remember Derek Johnson.
Jamal Charles. Yeah.
What about Priest Holmes?
No. It's
Priest
it's an autographed Tyreek that's just sitting
nice.
Wrapped up and underneath everything else.
Oh, there was
No,
one
don't look at
thing I wanted to do.
Who's on the Mount Rushmore of Chiefs?
Oh, come on.
Mahomes, Kelsey, who else? Reed?
No, you're not allowed to have a coach up there.
Mahomes,
No coach?
Kelsey, Thomas.
I mean, for so long it was Lynn Dawson because he was the only quarterback who had ever led them to a Super Bowl.
Alex Smith.
Definitely. Derek Thomas is definitely.
Tony Gonzalez.
Oh, Tony G.
Tony G. Yeah.
And then I'm
Taylor
seeing
Swift. Taylor Swift is also on the Mount Rushmore.
I like referring to Tony Gonzalez as
What's
Tony G.
the Giants
Sounds like he's
Mount
from New
Rushmore?
Jersey.
Emmett Thomas.
Giants Mount Rushmore. Lawrence Taylor, Eli Manning. Put those 1 and 2.
Eli?
Yes.
Of course.
Yes.
Over
course.
Phil?
Of course.
Of course.
It's not even close.
Of course.
Oh,
Lawrence Taylor, Eli Manning, Michael Strahan.
Frank
Daniel
Gifford.
Jones.
I mean, you could go back and get
Yeah,
into
you
like
got to go back to like they
Kenny
had
Galladay.
You go way back. They have like
Wyatt
way
Tittle?
back. Wyatt Tittle's in the mix, but no.
Yeah, I don't
Bill
know.
McConkey. I mean, the towel waving is just
McConkey, the towel, McConkey's towel.
All right, listen. I want to read. I want to read.
There's a guy on Twitter who has the McConkey's towel Twitter handle, and he trolls people on Giants Twitter. So I just found that funny.
So this is a 5-star review from Josh. It says, great fantasy advice, year-round listener. Also, me and my wife watched that Reptile movie on Netflix. So I'm going to say good movie advice too. It was a dope movie. Tell you, I don't give bad movie recommendations.
I missed this episode. What was the Reptile movie?
It's called Reptile. It's
He
great.
told you to watch it.
Why did no one ever hear about it?
What do you mean?
You told Dan to watch it.
No, he told me to watch Just Friends. That's next on my list.
Wasn't that our last mailbag? You told him to watch Reptile?
I don't think so.
No,
I told everyone to watch
he never
Reptile.
told me
It was
that.
in January.
And I just
When
want to
did this
remind
come
Dan
out,
that
Adam?
MVS had 6 catches for 116 yards and a touchdown in the AFC Championship game last year.
Okay, so he did help in that one game. That's great. Great contract.
Do me a favor. Don't put comments supporting me up because people think I'm doing it and it makes me look like a narcissist.
Paid actor. How much did you pay for that comment, Adam? He is putting it up though. Like it's
So
not.
I
like,
will
that's
be
the thing.
doing that far more often.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah. Also, there was one that said Adam should be a stand-up comedian. So we're gonna leave. Yeah, Adam should do stand-up. He's so funny. 5-star review. We're gonna leave you on that note. Thank you to Dan, Heathen, Jamie, and to Thomas Schaefer. Have a great weekend, everybody. We will talk to you Monday on Fantasy Football Today.